So, Ashley, tell me a little bit about kind of your journey with AI within this class, and be thinking about, where um, what you were using for AI, maybe some tips and techniques prior to the class versus what you learned in class, and now what you're doing today after class.
Sure. So before I started this particular masterclass, I had only had experience with ChatGPT, and I had had my aha moment, just with something silly, somebody showing me the capabilities of AI to generate, poems or songs. And as a songwriter, of course, I thought that was just fascinating. Not that it felt like it had soul or anything that was particularly inspiring in it, but just the fact that it could generate something so new and that I could prompt it with a story idea and it could flesh out this whole thing for me. So it was really interesting. I used a lot of the tools, a lot of AI through ChatGPT, basically for content editing. I didn't really like I didn't really like its voice for me as an artist, but I could have it either fix an email that I had written or make it more concise or give me ideas for some of my email campaigns for my my fan base. I always put out an email for a new song release, and sometimes I feel like I don't really know what to say, like, hey, check out my new song. So it was nice to have something else prompt, some extra stuff in there. And then I would go back and edit it and make it sound like how I would say, those things. So I had already found it useful as a tool, but then coming into this class and beginning to learn the history of AI and how it developed and how it's growing and how it's really evolving daily, and as well as the massive amount of tools that are available, new tools every day, it was really great to expand the possibilities of how I could use it. So especially with the updates of ChatGPT, right? So they came out with 4.0, but I didn't even know about other GPT models such as like Claude and other. They're not coming to my head right now, but because I still use ChatGPT, but other specifically text prediction. So I got into some of the photo generation, some of the video helpful ones, and different things like that. And now I feel like I'm using some tool in every aspect of what I do, including how I'm creating my social media, how I'm targeting my ads, what kind of content I'm putting out generally, and feeling like I have a strategy and like I have an assistant with me to help me finish my ideas and execute, maybe not execute, but at least have my hit list of how I need to do everything, including every tiny little step if I need it. And I can get further into that if you want me to later, but yeah. So I feel like now I have a partner in my business as opposed to just a tool that helps me create text.
What was holding you back from, integrating that partnership with AI? Was it a means of just not like you don't know what you don't know with AI, and this class kind of helped you peel back the curtain a little bit to get to that, or was
I
there a
would say
specific
so.
moment in class?
I would say that having the class as almost an accountability partner in it, like somebody to hold your hand and say, hey, let's try this, let's try that. Have you thought about this? I think a lot of us were using tools in some aspect when we came in, but we might not have been using them in the best way for us. And a lot of times it's easy to see how somebody else should use something, but it's more difficult to see how you need to use it. So going into the group dynamic and having very specific projects to work on and homework to work on before we came back, which we needed to present, even though sometimes people would create things that maybe weren't exactly for their business as a part of the exercise, it helped me realize, no, I need to do this for my business. Yes, go through the exercise in order to learn the tool, but it definitely having a class setting is what prompted me to be able to use the tools effectively for my business behind my artistry.
I guess it's a good kind of segue into my next question, and that is, what was your favorite part of the class?
I think my favorite part were the breakout sessions because we had all the tools to watch the videos before a class really, and just a tremendous amount of resources within the learn worlds. But then when we get in our small groups and have an opportunity, among 6 or 8 people to discuss what we're learning, to discuss challenges or ask questions or present what we've been working on, it just gave for valid feedback. It gave everybody an opportunity to have a connection point, so it didn't feel like just something I have to tune in and watch. There was again accountability, and there was a team effort of it. And then it was super fun when we had our competitions among the teams, and we had a goal together as a team that we would, have a few minutes to work on, like when we created our jingle together, and we were on a time crunch, but we all had to give our input. So one person shared screen and led that while everybody gave input. And for me, that was, not only is it an effective way of learning for me is doing with others, but it made it fun and interesting, and it helped our team, build some camaraderie.
Those little competitions were kind of new to the cohort this year, so it was fun to definitely be in the trenches with you guys on those two. We came so close to I think beating your team with the music. I think it was the music competition.
Probably there were some strong contenders. If I
Yeah,
don't tell anybody,
we were
but
off by like 1 or 2 votes. It's like,
oh
oh
wow.
man. But no, it's cool. So, in thinking about um the final presentation that you pulled together, or maybe something else has come up since graduation. How have you used AI? Or I guess I could say, what is one kind of home run that you've hit where you're like, it's either saved you time, it made you money, where had you not taken this class, that result may not have happened or come together, in quite that way.
Yeah. So specifically for the summer, I'm hiring some interns, and AI and the tools that I've learned from this class are helping me to lay out strategies for them that we can implement together. In addition to having content strategies and being able to very quickly break down the exact instructions of how I want you to do this, how we need to set up the studio. I mean, these things could take me hours to think about and put together, and almost like to make a handbook, right? But instead I say, hey, ChatGPT, I have 4 hours with my interns, and based on the content strategy you gave us and how we need to break these down. And of course we tweak the content, right? We're not only are we going to create it, but we might make it better fit for us. But the point is, how to set everything up, right? And it's amazing that it'll give you so much information that you ask for, how to manage our time, how to organize different things. And then so that's just helping me with them, right? So helping me to have, it also helped me interview them, which was cool, and ask the right questions. And they were very excited about working with me because it seems like we know what we're going to be doing, right? And helping present the projects to them, like, hey, this is what we're going to be focused on. I don't have to show them everything I did to get there, but I am also showing them the tools that I'm using, because they're getting excited about it too. I'm like, this is how we're going to work out what we're going to do for the summer. We may need to tweak on our different projects. And one of the projects that I'm having them do is really content creation specific and focused, which will serve two purposes. One, that'll just be content for the record label that I have. So for me as an artist, I have to promote myself, but that actually gets really difficult because I have to be there all the time. I have to be the one. So as a label, I can actually promote all kinds of dance and pop music and other artists and trends and concerts and things that I feel like as an artist, I don't want to like confuse people about who I am or what I'm about. But as my label, I can envelop this much bigger brand and marketing strategies and promotions. So we'll be focusing on building the label aspect. And with that content, anything that hits, we'll just turn it into ads. And that brings me to the next thing, which is for the ads and increasing my conversions, improving conversions in the ads. ChatGPT has been tremendously helpful in not only reading through data and helping with trends, but creating 5 alternate captions, creating 5 alternate calls to actions. And now in Meta ads, you have the ability to add different captions, and it'll basically A, B, C, D, E test them for you, and use the ones that are working the best with the types of people that might respond the best. So again, it's saving a few minutes on every tiny little thing, and it all adds up at the end of the day, and it makes it a really duplicatable strategy that I can use to implement ads. And then there's of course like the generation for video and audio, which helps as well. Instead of going to find a stock image, just being able to create something that just like that is unique and it's fine, and I can use it for most intents and purposes. Obviously we want to be careful of anything that looks like questionable, but yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool to hear. I have 2 more questions for you. One spans kind of the Biz Hacker Award. It's BizHack's Academy most prestigious award because it's voted on by your peers. Can you tell me a little bit about, kind of just grabbing the bull by the horns and embracing the biz hacker mentality? Because whether it's this course or some other programming courses that BizHack offers, it's a boot camp. Like, you'll learn a lot in a really short period of time. And some people gravitate toward that really, really well, such as yourself, and other people struggle with it and they get across the finish line, but they're like, oh my God, that was hard. Whereas other people seem to gain energy from that, and you seem to fall in the latter category. So can you explain a little bit to me about, what it means to be kind of the Biz Hacker Award winner and how you're able to kind of motivate yourself and people within your group throughout the class?
Sure. I was very honored to receive the Biz Hacker Award. And what that meant for me, that my peers saw those, qualities in me, and which must have come from mostly our small group, besides the couple opportunities that I may have had to share in the larger group. But really, for me, I was thought I would be the least likely to win that award because I'm an artist, and I felt like there was just a really big learning curve on figuring out how can I use these tools, because my business is a little different. There is a business behind the artistry, but I'm not really trying to sell something. Music is free everywhere, so, or it's streaming for $10 a month. Like, I have to you have to play my song a lot for me to make any money at all. So it was kind of a challenging thought about how can I use this to grow my business. But just being willing to fail gloriously and just trying all these things, it's one of those things, like, you don't know what you know until you've tried. You don't know what's going to work until you've tried it, or if it's so. I just took every step, every tool that you guys gave us, and I tried to apply it in some way to what I'm doing. And even if it didn't support my immediate goals, just having this skill and the understanding of here's one way to use that, it would inevitably lead to, oh, well, what about, using it another way? So I think just being willing not to have the wall up and just to shut yourself down and say, oh, this isn't for me, is the challenge that I had to overcome, and just say, you know what? You never know. And just try it, and be willing to try again and try again. And many of the instances where I've successfully used these tools, especially the image generation and content script generation, where it needed to learn and I needed to learn how to prompt better, it just became a matter of how far are you willing to go. If you don't quit, you win. Eventually you're going to get where you're going, where you're going to understand what it is exactly that you're missing in this tool, and maybe there will be a better tool. So yeah, I think just being willing to have fun with it rather than be so serious, and then understanding how to tweak it to really make it serve you well is what I embraced. And I think that's probably what has allowed me to, shine through with the work that I've done that actually does apply and that does actually support what I'm working on in the end.
I would totally agree. And I know we're a few minutes over. Do you have time for one more question?
Sure, yeah.
I just want to respect your time.
Thank you.
And that's actually a pretty easy question. Is there anything that I should have asked you, or that you want to talk about when you're thinking about this class that you're like, oh my God, just kind of, bursting from the inside, that you want to tell people who might watch some of these videos?
If you're thinking about whether or not to get in this academy and whether or not to take this class, even if you think you already know the tools, which I felt like I did, do it anyway, because there's an element of accountability. There's an element of encouragement. There are new ideas coming from other humans and case studies that you'll be able to see that you hadn't thought about before. I'm not speaking for myself because I felt like I knew a lot of the things we were talking about, but at the end of each class, I really did take away something special that allowed me to take steps forward for the next class.